Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Para, editor in chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. It is Mental Monday. It is the beginning of a magnificent week. I am so excited to have a wonderful conversation today with some of our amazing contributing writers. Let me go ahead and bring these ladies on in this morning. Hey, good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, or evening, afternoon, whatever to everybody.
Yes. Hello, Audrey.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, and there we have her. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
Oh, I am so excited to have you ladies in the house today to talk about the power of the pivot and just the mindset that you have to have when, pivoting and going from one, space to another. It can be very, very difficult. We have to pivot in so many areas of life, personal and professional. I'm going to pivot right now, and we were backstage talking, and Teresa mentioned that the world is in a big pivot right now. We're going to get into, dig into that a little bit as well. And me being in a pivot of being in a tiny home, after selling a home, and just getting used to the lack of technology at times and how to try to maneuver through it and really just keep that resilience, right, and not give up, because you know what? At the end of that tunnel, there's always that light. You just got to keep at it. So let's talk about it. So, Teresa, let's talk about, just introduce yourself first and then tell us a little bit about your experience with, pivoting and kind of that mindset that you have to have in order to successfully pivot, personally and professionally.
I'm Teresa Palmer. I'm a nurse practitioner, advanced practice nurse, and I I do holistic cardiology, and a lot of that is a lot of patients have gone through a pivot, and then you go to the resilience. How do you cope with that? My own personal experience was after being born and raised and spending 60 years in the Northeast in New Jersey, had to move to Alabama. It wasn't something I was looking forward to. It was different. In the beginning, no, I didn't have much resilience. I did the pivot because I was forced to, but I was lacking the resilience. And the resilience was being able to go to the flow, going able to go with the flow, to recoil, to use that energy for something creative. So in the beginning, I wasn't doing that. I wanted to change things. I wasn't that thrilled with a lot of things that were going on. Do I still miss certain things? Yes. And will this be my last stop in life? No. Uh, but I've learned to adjust to it and to become resilient and not lose the energy and the creativity that I have being in a different place. So I try to use it to my best advantage.
And that's what we really have to do, right? I mean, you can't change the situation in a lot of times. So why not take the good in it and really just focus on that? I mean, I think a lot of times with the pivoting, it's all about having that attitude of gratitude, right, in that situation, and being able to kind of look outside of it and think, okay, it could be a worse situation. So let me just go ahead and, you know, as you said, be creative in it, right? And be able to just adjust so you can, flow and rise in the situation that you're in. So, all right, we're gonna go to you, Audrey.
Yeah, so there has been many times that I've had to pivot, and part of it is in my careers. So you become different. You you become a different person every time you get into a different position, different place, different. So I'm an aromatherapist. I took the Ikigai, which is finding your purpose, coaching, and I'm taking a whole bunch of different coaching, right? I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. So a lot of the healing modalities is what I'm into. And with each one, I become a different person. I become more better. So with that pivot, we either get better or bitter.
Mm.
So when for me, myself, when I go into a situation and I'm pivoting, whether it's my choice or it's the environment's choice, whether I have to pivot or not, that's the biggest thing for me is, am I going to get better through it or am I going to get bitter through it? And there are times that I've gotten bitter through it. I'm like, why do I have to do this right now? I don't want to do this right now. This is not the direction I wanted to go, you know? And so I had to choose. And at that time, I couldn't choose the pivot, but I could choose how I reacted within that pivot. So that's kind of the biggest thing for me. And yeah, it's just
Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
what I
it's the
choose.
reaction. Now, can you tell, just maybe share a few things that you did to, be able to kind of change your reaction on things? Because sometimes it's hard, when you get, I mean, because I know when I get very, reactionary and very charged up, it's hard to kind of click that. So, what were some of the things that you did to just be able to adjust in that?
So it goes back to your practices, whatever that is, whether that's meditation. Um, One of my biggest ones is talking to friends. Or coaches, or right, to go in and go to that friend, oh my God, I don't want to be here. This is not a situation that I want to be in. Have you got some ideas, kind of thing, right? And they can go have that outside perspective of, okay, so what are the positives to going in this direction, whether you do or do not want to be there, right? And then the ideas flow, kind of like what Teresa said, the creativity.
Yeah.
It's coming back into that creativity then again with the ideas of maybe you're in that situation and it's all bottled up. For me, it was having those friends and those coaches and my own inner meditation
Mm-hmm.
of the situation. Yeah, so it's definitely looking at that for sure. That's how I
Yeah.
did it.
Awesome. Thanks, Audrey. All right, Miss Stephanie. So talk about the power for the pivot.
Yes. My name is Stephanie. My company is Write My Stuff, and I help individuals and companies pivot, especially with resumes. A lot of people, with the economy and different things, and the government's trying to buy out 2 million people, you have got to have a good resume. And by having a good resume, once you see what skill sets you already have, you are open to more jobs than you realize. A lot of people are like, oh well, I've never really done anything but this in my job, not understanding the specific skill sets underneath there are transferable to other jobs. I have a client right now that has worked for a public utility for 30 years and is just tired of it. And I'm like, well, have you thought about, and she's done all kinds of different financial things for this utility. I asked her, I said, have you ever thought about starting your own business? She's like, no, I never have. So it's planting those seeds in people's minds that your skills are not tied to a specific job description. I have pivoted my whole life when it comes to careers. I've never really been one to settle down. At one point, I just couldn't find a job that was working for me. I was not happy, whatever I did. And so I did whatever I had to bring money in. I was delivering phone books. I was working retail, nothing that had anything to do with my education. And then in a similar situation, my sister's then husband had a complete meltdown at work and just quit his job right then and there as a high-powered attorney. And he refused to do anything else. He was so stuck in the I'm a lawyer mode that he just sat and moped around and did nothing, to the point where my sister divorced him because he couldn't take care of himself. He couldn't be a helper or anything. So I feel like we are always a great example of two opposite ways to handle a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to go out and do whatever I needed to do to help put bread on the table. And he was like, oh, poor, poor, pitiful me. I had an anxiety attack. I can never leave my house again.
Right. Wow. And it's so crazy how, the different, spectrums, right, of how we handle that pivot, because there are a lot of people that do melt down, because they just can't seem to understand the other side of it. They're in their comfort zone, right? And when you're in that comfort zone, a lot of times it's very hard to get out of. But the magic is, it happens when you're out of, when you're out of that comfort zone, you're in that uncomfortableness, right? That's when the creativity starts. And, let's talk about that, Teresa. I mean, really, like.
Okay. Well, I think most of the time, I think there are choices to pivot, but I think most of the time we have to pivot.
Yeah.
Things happen, things change. And if you look at the world right now, the world is in flux, the world is changing. I'm not going to go into the astrology because I don't understand it that well, but we have a new age. Pluto is in Aquarius. It hasn't been there for 100 years. It'll stay there for 20 years. We will never see that again. The Renaissance was Pluto in Aquarius. The Civil War was Pluto in Aquarius. So I don't think we could dismiss how change is. And sometimes even, I hate to use the word brutal, but I think we're going through a period right now where there's a great deal of change. Yeah. And we need to build our resilience. And I think that's the main thing. And if you look at a lot of things right now, there's not a lot of resilience. There may be a lot of complaining because we all like the comfort zone. And like you said, you have to step out of that comfort zone. So right now, the world is stepping out of a comfort zone of the things that we knew. And it's up to us then to build our resilience. And resilience, the best example I could give of resilience is a slinky. I'm showing my age because some people listening to this may not know what a slinky is. But the slinky was this coiled toy, and you could stretch it out and it would bounce right back to its shape. You could use it as a yo-yo. You could twist it around. There were numerous things that you could do with this slinky. But this slinky knew who and what it was, and it always recoiled, went back to its original shape and what it was meant to do. And that's what resilience is. Resilience is that recoiling, that overcoming whatever the adversity or whatever we think is the adversity, whether it be having to change your job, maybe change a location, change anything. It's that being able to come back, not to resist it, because right now we're seeing a lot of resistance.
Right.
And that's not really, I'm not surprised by it, because I think there's more resistance a lot of times than there is resilience. I think resilience takes time to look at the situation. And really, if there's nothing you can do about it, are you going to be stuck in that resistance? Are you going to be the type of person that says, well, I only do X, Y, and Z? Not going to do anything else. Well, you're the one that suffers.
Right.
Because you're limiting yourself. The resilient person says, okay, I've got this situation. Maybe these skills or the certain job that I've done for a number of years is no longer there because maybe technology, maybe something changed. Right. I'm no longer needed in that. But what other skills do I have? how could I parlay that into something that's purposeful? So I think that's really the main thing. And that's why I had even said before we got started this morning, that I think this is the most important discussion we're going to have, because it's not only timely, but it's so needed. And people need to be aware of it. And I think once it starts to click with people that, okay, there's only so much opposition and resistance you could have to anything in life. After that, it's up to you to say, am I going to be resilient? How am I going to use this energy field that I'm in? Because we're all energy.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to use it? Am I going to be creative? Am I going to do something with purpose? Or do I want to sit there and wallow in, poor me, I can't do something the way I've done it before. I'm not going to change, and it's too bad. And I'm the one that's going to lose out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't want to lose out. I want to be creative and just figure it out. Right. And I love having individuals like you ladies in my life to be able to help me figure it out, to be able to help me with those questions that I may have, because you've been through certain things in life, Teresa, that I may not have. Same thing with you, Audrey, and you, Stephanie. So I may start going through that and go, oh my God, like, I don't know how to handle this, but I remember her saying that. Let me call real quick. And I mean, we can always get through it, and as I think Teresa and Audrey, you guys were saying about it just being our reaction. And our reaction should be, how are we going to make this better for us to just get through? Really, stop wallowing in it, especially if you can't do anything about it, right? So, Audrey, want to chime in?
Yes. So as you guys were talking, a couple of things just kind of came to mind. And one of the phrases that comes to mind is, the only constant is change. Yes. We're always changing. Like, I'm not the same person I was yesterday, because things happened yesterday that, whether it was positive or negative, I had to go through yesterday, and I changed. So no matter what we're going through, positive, negative, sitting on the couch, you're still changing no matter what, right? Because I'm never the same as yesterday, ever the same. I have different thoughts than yesterday, right? I have different feelings than yesterday. May have different friends than yesterday, maybe in a different location than yesterday, right? So everything is different. I kind of think about it like the choices that we make within these pivots. We could either become a criminal or Mother Teresa with our choices. So we could go really bad, or we could go good, right? And those are kind of our choices. And we could then get bent out of shape with whatever it is. So I know Teresa was talking about the slinky and that it kind of comes back. Yeah. I've bent those slinkies where they don't come back. Sometimes when you go like this and they come back and then they're all marled, and then you try and undo it. Sometimes you just can't undo the situation that you're in. It comes all unmangled, and you just have to change with whatever it is. So yeah, that was my thoughts when you guys were talking about that. Like, I mean, sometimes I'm still mangled in that area. I think of the wheel of life, right? You got your physical, mental, emotional, you've got your work and all of that. And they're never even. One's always up here. The other one's always, one's better, one's not. And you're always trying to do that balance. It's always changing. Right. So that's kind of the way I look at it, is like, one part of my life may be good, the other part not so good. Sometimes my physical is good, my mental not so good. So yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Thanks, Audrey. All right, Steph.
Sticking with the Slinky theme, I loved both of your comments on it. Slinky was my favorite toy, and I always tried to destroy Slinky because I had the aluminum ones back before they made the plastic ones. And you know what? We are all Slinkies. And one of the things that makes you less resilient is to always be stretched out. Eventually, you're going to lose your resiliency. And if you get mangled up in the middle, cut out the bad parts. Don't throw the whole Slinky away, or your whole life away. Get rid of that bad part. Is it a bad relationship? Is it a bad job, a bad location? Find bad health habits. Find what the bad is and get rid of it. Your Slinky may be thinner, but it's still a Slinky. You just get your wire cutters, you cut that part out, you weld it back together, you got a shorter Slinky, but it's still there. Yeah. Another great health analysis with Slinky is our DNA and our genetics, our chromosomes. They get shorter as we get older, but if we treat our bodies right and feed it the right food and feed it energy and feed it sunlight and exercise, those pieces of your body will get longer again and you'll start feeling younger.
Yes.
And a young body can handle a lot more than an old body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. This is such a just good stuff, ladies. Oh my goodness. This is great. So, again, there's so much pivoting going on out there in the world. And I know there's so many people that are out there struggling. So, I want to start with you, Teresa. What's some words of wisdom, words of encouragement that we can give some people that are, just struggling with trying to get to the other side of a pivot?
What I would say to people is a lot of times you can't change the situation. So there's the acceptance of that situation, whatever it is, whether it be professional, personal, anything. Is first the acceptance and acknowledging it. Second, you could acknowledge that you don't like the situation. You don't like what's happening. Acknowledge it, because in order to get it to another side, to get out of something, we have to acknowledge how we're feeling about it. So if you don't like something, you could acknowledge it. This isn't where I want to be, or I don't like that this is going on, whatever that situation or whatever the circumstances are. And then how do you work within yourself to change it? And by that is getting to know yourself. Number one, who are you? I think that's the first step, is get to know yourself. And then what can you do? Because each of us individual is the change that we want to see, whether it be in the world, whether it be in our neighborhood, whether it just be within us. We are the people that change starts with. Everything starts within us. So if we could look at ourselves and we could critique ourselves, that's the first step, is that self-awareness, and then saying, I like it or I don't like it. Then it's, okay, what can I do about it? Is there something I can do about it? And supposing there isn't, supposing there's just nothing that you could do about that situation, then at that point, you just really need to accept it and just say, okay, I'm on a deserted island. There's really nothing I can do right now to get off of that deserted island. But how can I help myself through this experience? And I think that's really just what it's about. It's about building that resilience that you could overcome any challenge. And with health, I always tell my patients and my clients, there's always something you can do to help yourself, regardless of the condition or the situation. Sometimes you have to dig deep for that. Sometimes you may need help even coming up with the answer of what you could do. But we're never hopeless or helpless. There's always something we could do. And that's what resilience is all about, is that recoiling, that going back, taking the energy, the situation, the energy within us. We could either use it for something that's not so good, to go out and break a bunch of dishes, or to do something even hateful, or we could take that energy and say, how can I be the change that I want to see? Because it starts with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Teresa. Audrey, words of wisdom, words of encouragement?
So, since the summer, I went to Fort Macleod in Alberta here, and it was a music festival. And it was just a lot of fun. We were camping out. And all of a sudden, my friend's brother comes up to her and he says, "You want a little?" So I'm like, we were laughing about it because this is a little. And he said, "Oh yeah, there's this guy just giving them out wherever." And we were thinking about that. It's like our emotions a lot of times are within that situation. But if we take our emotions and just go, take them out of the situation and just look at the situation as a situation, then we can come up with the ideas. And so of how to, navigate, move away from it, move towards it, whatever that is, right? If we can take the little out of it, then we can just think of a solution. Because a lot of times we're just in those emotions like, oh my gosh, that person did that to me. Oh my gosh, I have to move. Oh my gosh, that happened, right? And for me, it's like, sometimes I just think and I go, should I really give a lot about this? And then I think also about the Beatitudes in the Bible. Everything is meaningless. We live and we die. And it's that dash that we do things in between. And we can either, there again, do good or not do good. Why are we here? What is the purpose of us being here? Right? So for me, it's, it is what it is. Let's just work with it.
Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thanks, Audrey.
I carry this around all the time too.
I love it. I love it. And look, you have to not, you really do have to not give. All right, Steph, what's your words of wisdom, words of encouragement?
Gosh, I mean, if you don't give, don't interfere with people that do give. What may not be important to you is important to someone else. You don't have any right to tell that person, you can't do this.
Right.
Free choice, free will. We are humans. You may choose to use, it's how you're going to react to it. Are you going to react to it, oh, you're the worst person in the world? Or you can be like, you're different than me. Right. Everything is how you're going to react. So choose to react positively, choose to react healthy, and choose to react patiently. Don't stress it.
No, I love it. I love it because you know what? Yes, we're all different, right? We're all different. And I love everyone. I don't care how different you are than me, and I even love people that don't like me. Okay, because I just love people. So yeah, I love what each and every one of you have shared today. And I know that our audience has gotten so much out of this. Everyone, if you would like to connect with any of our contributing writers, I'm going to just go around the room and have everyone just tell you how you can get in connection with them. If you want to work with them, if you want to get their books, things like that, because they all have some awesome things going on. So Teresa, how can everyone connect with you?
There's several ways people could connect with me. One is that I could be found on my website is wellbeinggal.com, WELLBEINGGAL, all one word.com. I'm also on Facebook. I don't have the link right now to my new Facebook page, but it's called Taking Heart Health to the Next Level. I also wrote a book called Heal Your Heart from Within, which is really a lot about, I share resilience, emotions, things like meditation, yoga, subtle energy, everything that you could do for yourself to help yourself regardless of your health condition or your situation. I'm also on Instagram, well_being_gal.com. So those are the ways people could get in touch with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Teresa. And Audrey, how can everyone get in touch with you?
Well, my main one is WhatsApp. So that's 780-202-0649. You can also look for me on Facebook as well. My name is right there. Look for me there on Facebook. And I did recently change my name because there was so many Audreys on Facebook. People couldn't find me. So there it is. Yeah, so those are the two main ways that you can find me is on WhatsApp and Facebook.
Awesome. Thanks, Audrey. And Stephanie, how can everybody connect with you?
Lots of different ways to connect with me. My website is writebysteph.com. My email is writebysteph@gmail.com. It's WRITEBYSTEPH for both of those. I also am on LinkedIn as Stephanie Malink. I don't have a business page on there. And then I also, if you're watching this video for the first time and you want more, I have a YouTube channel that I'm slowly putting these videos on so you can watch all of the different topics that I have talked about. I also have a couple books on Amazon that can help with this. The Ultimate Beginner's Guide for Clean Living. If you're taking care of your body on the inside and taking care of your physical environment and your skin in the cleanest ways possible, that's going to make you more resilient. And The ABCs of Living Independently When You Are Older or Frail is another book of mine that will help you stay resilient by helping you not have to be as resilient because you're staying in your own familiar home until you pass safely because of doing different home modifications, knowing what community resources are out there for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining me on this Mental Monday to talk about the power of the pivot and ways that we can navigate through them. We can be resilient and really be able to shine out there because we can step into our greatness as we pivot. So, everyone, I want to thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to hear more from each individual here, as well as so many more, you can subscribe to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine. Just go to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Mag 2021.com and you can get your subscription there. And if you want any coaching, there is just, again, so many resources in one amazing place. So we are definitely here to elevate your mind, body, and spirit. Have an amazing week ahead, and we love you lots. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.